Hi everyone, welcome to DIY Ideas. So today I have a really interesting project, something between a purse and an organizer, or actually both in the one project we're going to do together. So you can see the visual effect and the look of mine. Of course, this is highly customizable, but I just wanted to show you my version and how you can of course do this on your own. You can see the stuff I put inside, which is of course also very customizable, so you can change this up and use it for many different purposes. In my case, I decided to have it as a purse as well as an organizer, which means that I have these pockets on the side, but also it's big enough to hold a water bottle so that I can take it with me. So yeah, if you decide you can do this, of course, smaller or bigger, and I'm just going to show you the basic version that you can adjust from later in your own tries and attempts. So let's get started. Okay, so you're going to need different fabrics, and you can of course use different kinds of fabric. You can use the same kind for the inside and the outside. That's completely up to you. I do recommend using something that is like cotton or exactly cotton because it's going to make everything simpler. For the pockets on the outside, I use this net-like fabric, which is also optional, so you can do this in any way you like. And then additionally, this is optional, but you can do this. So I have this fabric that you basically iron over another piece of fabric to make it a little bit sturdier so that it keeps its shape, which is why I also have my little iron with me this time. Then of course we're gonna do the basic things we always need with sewing, so some pins, fabric scissors, something to measure with, and this time we're gonna be using some bias tape as well. So I have here the pink color, the baby pink, but you can of course use any color and style that you'd like, as well as any width that you have or like. So the pattern in itself is going to be simple. I'm going to be doing 2 times the inside fabric and 2 times the outside fabric, and my size is here 35 times 25 centimeters. So I'm doing a rectangular shape instead of a square shape this time. Then of course we're going to do the same in the inside fabric, and I'm going to strengthen this a little bit with the middle fabric that I just showed you. So my width is 35 and my height is 25 centimeters. So also what I want to do is just fold this in the middle and cut a little room for my handle so that I can take it with me like a purse. So I did just 2 centimeters on the bottom and I cut it out, but of course this is up to you how you want to do it and if you want to do it at all. So when I unfold it, this is what you basically get. So the little rounded shape in the middle where my fingers are going to go through. So we're doing this 4 times total plus 2 times the strengthening fabric that's going to go in the middle. Then we're also going to need a side piece so that we have the 2 sides and the full shape then. So we have again 2 times 85 centimeters times 13 centimeters is the width or the height if you like. So we're going to do this 2 times, 1 time out of the inside fabric, 1 time out of the outside fabric, and the strengthening fabric of course as well 1 time. So this is what we need for the main piece, and the handles are going to be out of bias tape. And then what I'm also going to do is the pockets on the side, which is here out of my net-like fabric. So that's what I'm going to use. And this size for my purse is going to be 35 times 10 centimeters. So that's going to be the height of it, 10 centimeters. So we're going to be doing this 2 times, the front and the back side. And yeah. Then I decided to do another set of pockets on the side in a little bit different style just to keep it interesting. So I have this 2 times 35 times 17 centimeters as the height this time, so it's a little bit taller than usual. So our first step is actually going to be to strengthen the fabric that we have a little bit, which is why I'm going to need the middle fabric that I showed you, the one that you basically iron over your other piece of fabric. So you can of course do this on either the inside or the outside, it doesn't matter, but I do recommend doing it with the inside fabric just so you don't have any weird wrinkles or air pockets or something like that on the outside. It's a lot easier to hide it on the inside. So I'm going to show you the fabric piece that's going to go in the middle. You see here it has two sides. One is a little bit smoother than the other. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this side is the rougher side. Hopefully you can notice. And then here on the back is the smooth side. So either way, the one that's rougher is going to be the one that's actually gluing or sticking onto the fabric. So you do want that side facing the fabric. Okay, so just align this and iron over it, and then it's gonna stay that way too. So the same thing we're gonna do with the main piece as well. So I do recommend taking the inside fabric for that. Yeah, so again, same thing, just make sure the rough side is facing the fabric itself, the back of the fabric, of course, not the front. Align nicely, and then you can get to the ironing part. Okay, so now that we did this, we have two options. So now you can take your bias tape right away and use that to get this next step done. So basically that would be super simple. Just take the bias tape and put it all around the edges to keep them nice that way. But in my case, I'm going to show you the other method. So I'm going to first get to the stitching part, not the bias tape itself. So I'm going to show you how to put all of this together. Of course, you're going to do the same with the inside fabric. This is a little bit taller if you notice, so this is like that for now. But we do want those sides aligned, and then we're just going to stitch over that. First of all, pin, of course. We're going to also fix the corners nicely. So basically just fold the inside or the longer fabric, not the inside, the side fabric. You're going to fold, and then you're going to pin again, fix the next corner again. And yeah, you just do that all around. You do that once, and then you do the same thing with the other piece. So that would be one version. Actually, I am going to use bias tape to show you. So this would be without any seams visible, without any stitches visible. But actually, I do think it looks a little bit prettier with the bias tape, so I am going to show you how to use bias tape for stitching the edges or seaming the edges nicely. So either way, we're first going to do the pockets on the outside so that we're done with that when we get to putting the whole bag together. Okay, so this is what we have, and I'm gonna put this over it. So this is what my pocket is gonna be, and I also want to have a very neat top edge, so I'm gonna seam that as well. So basically just fold twice over it like this to hide the fraying end and to keep it from further fraying. So yeah, then we're just gonna do a regular straight stitch over that to keep it neat. Just make sure you don't stitch over the back fabric. You don't really want that, so you're going to do these separately in order to keep everything neat and not stitch up something that you don't want to. The smaller ones, so in my case the net-like pattern pockets, they're not really great when you try to stitch them on without anything to help. So that's where our bias tape is actually going to come into play and help us a lot. So this is 35 centimeters, just like the width of the entire bag itself. So we're just gonna take this and stitch over it. When we do that, we're just gonna fold, then fold once again, and we're gonna stitch one more time over that to keep it all in place and have a really nice edge here on top. So I'm gonna show you how you can do this later as well when we do all of the corners. So you're definitely going to learn how to work with bias tape in this project. So here are the pockets now, and they're all done. You see how nice and neat they look right now. So now what we want to do is connect them to the main piece. So for that, we're going to align this, of course, pin if you need to. There we go. So it should be looking nice and neat so that you have a neat result as well. And then we're just gonna do a regular straight stitch starting from the one corner all the way on the longest side and then the other side as well to keep it neat and in place. The top, of course, is gonna stay open, so we don't want to stitch that up. The same we're gonna do with all of the other pieces as well and all of the other pockets. So when you do the stitching, then you can decide if you'd like some partitions in here. So you can do additional stitches here on the side. For example, depending on the width that you want, you can do a small one or a big one. So you can just make smaller pockets out of this big pocket. Just make sure it's a straight stitch so that it doesn't look weird in the end. So when you have your first piece finished, so your bigger piece or my bigger piece in this case, and I have all of the partitions done, then I'm gonna take the net fabric and I'm gonna basically do the same thing one more time over it. So in this case, you can of course again choose if you'd like to have the same sized pockets or different sized pockets. I do recommend aligning the stitches just so you have everything nice and neat and both pockets as practical as possible. Of course, just make sure that you don't close up any pockets by making these smaller ones. So if you align the stitches over the already existing stitches, I think that looks the nicest and it just makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna do the one here and then probably another one here, and I'm gonna stop there. So you can now check if you like everything, if you like the way it looks, if it looks neat, but we are all in all done with the outside pocket sections. So I do recommend trying out the pockets, seeing if you like the size. Of course, I do recommend planning in advance for what you need them for. Sometimes you need bigger pockets, sometimes smaller, but all in all, different size pockets definitely work best. Then, of course, we need inside fabric to cover these with. So in my case, it's again the pink fabric, that's actually the pocket here. So we're gonna align these two, but this time not pretty side on pretty side. So we're actually gonna do the pretty sides on the outside, basically the way it should be, and we're later gonna hide the stitching with the bias tape. So maybe you didn't cut, like you can see in my case, you didn't cut it exactly the same. Now is the time to fix that. So you do want to pin this line again and just check if it looks good. So the not pretty sides should definitely be on the inside, and you should be able to see the pretty sides on both one and the other side. So then you just want to stitch this up, regular straight stitch all around basically. So I also did the side piece apart from the main pieces, so I basically connected those two with the main pieces, which you can see right here. So this time we do want to align the outside with the outside. So again, not pretty side on pretty side, but rather both pretty sides or outsides in this case looking to the outside. So nothing weird, just the right way around. And we're again going to pin the sides that we're going to stitch up. Also, make sure to pay a little bit more attention when you're doing the sides here. So sometimes here you need to be a little bit more careful because of the folding that you're actually doing. So just take your time, make sure you're patient. And when you're doing this, you might need to do the stitch a little bit rounder to keep everything nice, neat, and in place. So I did both sides now, which you can see, and we basically already have our bag or our main section of it. So the inside, the bottom, the sides, it's all pretty much done. Now all we need to do is the bias tape for the edges as well as for the handles if you do want those. So if you're unsure which sides you want to do, you basically just want to follow all of the stitches that you see. I'm going to start here on the side and I'm just going to move on following the stitch all the way to the other side basically. So it's going to be super simple to do. That way I'm going to have it done in one step instead of multiple steps. And I'm going to keep it a lot neater that way because it's just one stitch and one piece of bias tape. So let's take that and get started with it. So we're going to unfold it. So we do want it completely flat, so to speak. And then we do want to align the one side with the edge here. And then we're going to pin that as well to keep it all in place. And what we want to do when we do that is do a stitch right along this fold right here. So that's where you want your stitch. If you can, make sure to align this stitch or at least cover it a little bit with your bias tape just to make sure that it looks neat and you don't have 1,000 stitches visible on the outside when you're done. So definitely do that a little bit on the outside of your stitches. So you can see now we're done with this step, which means that you can basically already fold over now. But since you may have some trouble folding over the whole thing, like you can see in my case, so there is a trick to solve that, which is basically to shorten the leftover fabric on the outside of your stitch you just did. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave a tiny bit of fabric left over, making sure that I don't destroy the stitch. And then when you do that, you can directly see how easy it is to fold over it, which is what makes it great. And now what we're going to do is basically close up the bias tape. So just make sure you cover all of your stitches. You don't want anything visible, any thread in here or something like that. And we're just going to do a regular straight stitch across there to keep it simple and to keep it looking great on the outside. So in my case, I decided to do the same colored bias tape as here on the side. That's of course up to you if you want these to match, or if you even want different ones, that's also doable and not difficult at all. But yeah, you can maybe notice that the one side is a little bit wider than the other side. So if you'd like the two sides to be the same, you're basically just gonna stitch over this side that's already connected to the fabric, and that way you're gonna know where to shorten the bias tape to have it all in place and looking symmetrical on both sides. So I'm just folding this over right now to have it in place as I'd like it to, and then I'm just gonna stitch over it when I'm done. So now that I finished this is what we have, and it's looking a lot better than it did before. So now all there is left to do, if you do want this step, is to do a couple of handles. So in my case, I actually didn't have enough of the pink, but I also think it looks a little bit more elegant here on top where the handles are with the silver one. So you can combine that, you can definitely make it different, or if you have enough, you can do everything in the same color. So that depends on your taste and on the amount of material that you have. So yeah, if you'd like, I'm gonna show you now how you can do the handles here on top so that it can be a purse as well. So we're again gonna do the bias tape, and you're gonna see we're pretty much doing the same thing right now, which means that we're unfolding it and aligning it with the edge itself. Now, when you get to the middle, so to the section where I did the silver one, you're just gonna basically fold it, or actually just leave a little bit of it above. And you do want there a little bit more bias tape than you need on the other sides, on the other sections, just so you have a really nice handle there, a nice grip when you're taking it with you. And our back is now done, our organizer and purse all in one. So you can see I just took a couple of things and put them inside just so you can see what it looks like. In my case, of course, I have some regular school stuff, but you can also do different sizes. So mine is big enough for a water bottle, but you can definitely do these smaller or even bigger if you'd like. You can do this in pretty much any style and way and shape that you like. The pockets are working great. You see different sizes, so I have some post-its and some lotion here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to shoot us a thumbs up to let us know if you did and if you found this useful. If you'd like to stay updated with all of our other videos, you can definitely click on the subscribe button, and that way stay updated with everything new that we post. So thanks for watching DIY Ideas. See you in our next video, and have a great day. Bye!